A low-carb biscuit that actually tastes good? I'll be the judge of that. Look at that. Look at that, y'all. Oh, they're hot. Oh. Welcome to Highfalutin Low Carb, the weekly web series where we find and test the best low-carb recipes this internet has to offer. Today, I'm going to be the referee of a low-carb biscuit battle. You heard that right. A biscuit battle! Our research team has narrowed down our low-carb semifinalists into two basic categories, and those are biscuits that use cheese as a base for their rise and their texture, and then biscuits that use cold butter cut into dry ingredients, much like a regular biscuit or pastry. Now, when you heard me mention cheese as a base, I do not mean like Red Lobster's Cheddar Bay biscuits. Those are great, and there's a dozen recipes for low-carb Cheddar Bay biscuits on the internet, and that's a whole other video. Today, we're only focusing on plain old fluffy biscuits, just like your grandma made. Now, our first contestant comes to us from the deft low-carb hands of Cooking Keto with Christy. If you've never checked out her channel, be sure to. I love her recipes, I love her videos, I love her advice. Now, this isn't a collaboration. Hell, I'm new around here, so she's probably never even heard of me. But I did recognize the general quality of her recipes. Plus, she's Southern, so she ought to know her way around a biscuit. Also, she uses oat fiber a lot for flavor and texture. It's completely insoluble fiber, zero net carbs, and I've really wanted to try it, so I think that's one of the options. Now, our second contestant today is a recipe from the Wolfe Pit. You can check out his channel here. Now, I've selected this recipe because it nicely heads up the other category of biscuits, wherein we cut cold fat, usually butter, into dry ingredients. And then when that cold fat hits that hot oven air, it explodes into the dry ingredients, creating what we know as fluffy, flaky biscuits. But can we do that without traditional flour? Now, again, this is not a collaboration. Neither one of these fine channels know that I'm about to submit their recipe into this county fair. I hope I do them both proud. So the big question to answer here today is, considering taste, texture, and nutritional information, what's the best low-carb biscuit out there? Let's find out. So let's start with the Miracle Biscuits from Cooking Keto with Christy. Begin with 1/3 cup of almond flour and an oddly specific 1/3 cup plus 2 tablespoons of oat fiber. Now this stuff is super light and fluffy. It's almost the texture of baby powder. Now add in 1 tablespoon of sweetener. Christy calls for sucrin 1, but I substitute swerve sweetener because, well, both are erythritol blends and I can't find sucrin 1 anywhere locally. Now toss in the 1/2 teaspoon of salt and a teaspoon of baking powder and whisk these dry ingredients well. And just a tip here, be sure to sift your almond flour, even if you just use a sieve. That really fluffs up the dry ingredients and prevents lumps, especially if you store your nut flours in the freezer like I do. In a large bowl, combine 2 ounces of cream cheese and 1 cup of shredded mozzarella cheese. And then we're going to microwave this in 30-second increments at about 60% power, stirring each time as we stop. Once the cheese has softened a bit, toss in the 3 tablespoons of butter and return to this game of microwave hokey pokey. It's a lot of 30 seconds in, 30 seconds out. 30 seconds in, 30 seconds out. You will never get all of this melted butter mixed with the cheese, so just do your best. Let's add that egg to our dry ingredients, and then carefully add the cheese mixture to our dry ingredients. Christy was sure to say that this is where you just have to get your hands in, and she's definitely right. Just get after it and make sure it's all combined. So divide the dough in half, and then try to get 4 biscuits out of each half for a total of 8. You'll need to let them bake a scotch longer than she recommends because they're slightly larger than hers. So drop them on parchment paper and bake them at, again, an oddly specific 330 degrees, not 325 or 350. So when all is said and done, Christy's Miracle Biscuits come in at 4.5 grams of total carbs, 1.3 net carbs, and about 148 calories per biscuit if you make 8 of them from her recipe. That's a beautiful biscuit. I've got to admit, that is nice. These turned out a lot better than the last ones I did. Those are hot. Let's try them. That looks really good. Those look pretty good there, kids. I'm going to take just a taste now. Look, little bite. Oh, wow. They are really flaky. These are better than the last ones I made. I used a finer almond flour this time. The oat fiber really tastes like a damn biscuit. The mozzarella cheese is not even detectable at all. I would, if you told me that this had mozzarella cheese in it, I would call you a liar and kick you in the teeth. But this tastes. Look at that! Look at that, y'all. Oh, they're hot. Oh. I noticed a marked improvement the first time I made them when I waited a little bit. Right out of, like a real biscuit, a traditional biscuit, is going to be really tasty right out of the oven. And this is good, but to me, it's going to improve a tremendous amount with a little bit of time. So, let's come back to this. Wow, that's good. That's way better than I was thinking it was the first time I made it. All right, we're going to put one more beautiful biscuit here. I'm going to snap a few photos of this for all the social media whatnots. And we'll be back. We're going to start with recipe 2 next. All right? Keep up. So our second recipe is the Wolfe Pit's homemade low-carb buttery biscuits. In a large bowl, combine 1 1/4 cups of almond flour, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, and 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and whisk them together well. Now, be aware that the first recipe called for baking powder and this one calls for baking soda. 2 different levels. Now, this is frozen butter. All right? It's hard. Right? So, the easier thing to do here is to freeze your butter. Instead of trying to cut it in, I don't have a pastry cutter. So, we're going to just use a cheese grater and grate this butter into small little pieces. And this is... we'll emulate cutting this in. This just makes life so much easier, freezing it. So now we have small slivers of this grated butter that we're going to incorporate into the dry ingredients. Now work quickly so that the butter stays cold. If you have to take a break, put the bowl back in the freezer until you can return to it. Now turn your attention to the 3 eggs. We need to beat these with a whisk or an electric mixer until they're light and frothy. Once the eggs are aerated, gently fold them into your dry ingredients just until everything is well combined. Again, we're working quickly here so the butter doesn't have time to come to room temperature. So take a spoon or a portion scoop and drop the batter onto parchment paper. I got 7 generous biscuits out of this recipe. Drop these into a hot 400-degree oven and find something to do for about 12 to 14 minutes. So the stats for the Wolfe Pit's buttery low-carb biscuits weigh in at 4.7 total carbs, 2.6 net carbs, and about 173 calories per biscuit if you make 7 from the recipe. So if you count net carbs like I do, you'll notice that this biscuit is exactly twice the net carbs as Christys Miracle Biscuits. All right. So these are wicked hot, so I'm not going to try, but they really are a different texture altogether. Look at the crumb in there. Looks good, huh? So let's see what they taste like. That's what I was afraid of. When I first started keto and low carb eating, there was something called an oopsie roll, and my apologies to whoever created the oopsie roll, but it was made out of eggs and cream cheese, and you baked it, and it sort of rose like this, but it has an eggy, very eggy taste, and the baking soda honestly is a little too strong as well. You probably needed that to make the egg rise, but the baking soda sort of leaves a metallic taste on my mouth. It's not bad. It's not a biscuit, really. I don't think. It could be. But, all right. Let's try these against the ones we just made. We'll be right back. All right, guys, so who's the winner of this biscuit battle here? This is the representative example of the butter cut into eggs and dry ingredients. It's rather eggy, it's rather cakey, but it is good. It's light. And we're going to base this on not just taste and texture, but also nutritional value, nutritional information. And then, of course, here is the cheese-based recipe, not a Cheddar Bay biscuit by any stretch of the imagination, but a very close approximation to what I would call a Southern biscuit. I've got to be honest. It's pretty damn tasty. So right now, I believe we're going to call it. We're going to make this a first place, and this a second place. So there you have it, folks. The Miracle Biscuits from Cooking Keto with Christy is our winner. But I'm also here to tell you that second place is also a pretty good contender. Thanks again for watching this epic biscuit battle. Now, if you liked this video, hit the like button below, or better yet, like this video and subscribe to our channel. These videos are a way for me to maintain my focus on a low-carb eating plan. I've personally experienced the weight loss and better health that a low-carb lifestyle can produce, so I appreciate you guys coming along for the journey. We make videos every week, so if there's a low-carb recipe out there you'd like me to try, let me know in the comments below. We'll see you again soon.